So then, I went on another webinar with him a few weeks later. And when he broke down, the cost segregation, the bonus depreciation, just made total sense to, go into the commercial area. So at that point, I contacted Custom Capital, spoke with Michael Kimball, told him what I was looking for. At the time, they were offering medical buildings, and there was one in actually Las Vegas where I live. And I jumped off the call, the webinar, halfway through it, went right to that location, brought my wife with me, and it checked all my boxes. Called Mike right away. The webinar wasn't even over yet. I said, "This is what I want." He said, "Well, you're too late. It's already sold." So I said, "All right." So there was another one on there, very similar numbers, purchase price cap rates in Reno, Nevada, which is what we ended up purchasing. We just closed a couple of weeks ago. So on the way to looking at that facility in Vegas, my wife's with me, and she's very, very skeptical. And she said, "Well, how well do you know Custom Capital, et cetera, et cetera?" And I said, "Well, I did the normal research you can do, and I didn't see anything wrong, et cetera." And she said, "Well, I think we should hire a private investigator." I said, "All right." So to keep her happy, I did. I contacted my attorney in Florida, and he said, "I've been using the same guy for 30 plus years. And if there's anything at all there, negative, wrong, he will find it." I said, "Okay." So I hired him, paid him a good chunk of money. He wasn't cheap. And I figured it was money well spent. And a couple weeks later, I get the report, came back clean. So the comfort level just kept building for, both of us. And then basically the Custom Capital team took over from there. They arranged the financing, the tenant. They did all the permitting, hired the developer for the rehab, et cetera, et cetera. It was really, they advertised a one-stop shop. And again, I was skeptical at first, probably not quite as much as my wife was, but I thought this was too good to be true. And after several months of research, due diligence, what I can tell you what they say is true. Like Jason said, I did fly to Florida to meet with him. We did have a nice long lunch. And I asked him a ton of questions, some personal, some business. He told me his story, and I really related with it. And, there has to be a trust factor there. And living in South Florida, I think Jason will tell you this, I lived there for 28 years. I believe it probably is a scam capital of the world. So you got to be very, very, very careful. And because I've unfortunately fallen for some of them in the past, and I've learned from that. But my experience overall with Custom Capital has been great. They got a great team. Besides me giving financials, tax returns, et cetera, they really took care of everything. And like I said, we closed a couple weeks ago, and the day after, I had talked to the banker who did the loan, and he said that he had been in the commercial lending business for 30 plus years. And even though this took a little bit longer to do, they're a smaller bank in Carson City. The first time they've dealt with Custom Capital, he said this was probably one of the easiest loans that he has done because of the package that Custom Capital presented to him. They really took care of everything from A to Z. And, his team mostly is on the East Coast. I'm on the Pacific time. And they made it very clear, no matter what time of the day, even though we're a 3-hour difference, if I had any questions to call the team members, I could. And I tried not to, but I did. And they were right there to answer the calls and took care of everything. So my only regret is that I wish I would have bought 2 of these, because the numbers are definitely there. I even went over the numbers the day after the closing with the banker. With the cap rate I got, the purchase price, the rehab, et cetera, the current cap rate there in Reno, which is pretty much what I've seen across the U.S. There's an additional 7-digit built-in equity there. And after I went over all that, I said, I should have not put as large down payment down as I did. and leveraged this a little bit more because all the guarantees were there. And this, I felt like it just a great investment. So I'm looking forward to doing the next one.